with my co-host
Tom Cannon. Hi, well, thanks for joining us. Also joining us today is Barry Wightman. Barry spent 30 years in the high-tech industry, traveling the world, spending time in Silicon Valley, countless trips to Asia, Australia, and the rest of the world. After that, he earned an MFA from Vermont College of Fine Arts. He currently serves as the creative director of the Forward Health Group in Madison. He is currently a voiceover professional in Wisconsin Broadcaster Association award-winning essayist. Wanted to point out the voiceover because he should be doing this introduction. He would sound a lot better. But I also want to mention that he's a novelist. He has his book, Pepperland. I've read it. It is awesome. It has won many awards. Welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us.
It's good to be here. Thanks a lot.
Why don't you talk to us a little bit about how you made the transition from a high-tech person traveling all over the world to...
Yeah. Well, back in the dark ages of the 70s, 80s, 90s, I was mixed up with the high-tech industry, high-end computing, high-end data communications, and for a good chunk of that time, I was traveling around Asia, Tokyo and Hong Kong and Singapore and exotic places like that, down to Australia, and so it was great. It was very fun, and so I was always fascinated with the coolness of the technology that I was involved with, because it was cool. It was something that was helping change the world. This is when, PCs were hardly around. They were just starting to come out. And it was a let's change the world kind of a mentality. This is what we're going to do with all this great hardware and software. And so it was the early days of the digital dream. And this book is an account of those early days before the PCs and the Macs and all that, just as the internet was being invented. And the characters are involved in rock and roll. It's a historical novel. It's set in the 70s in Chicago. It's a costume drama. I mean, think about the costumes that we used to wear back in the day. And so there's the birth of the internet, a little bit of radical politics going on, and it's a love story.
Oh, you got it all.
So, yeah. And so that's
What made you write it? What prompted you to?
I knew I wanted to be a writer. I started with third grade and writing goofy stories and getting up and reading them, and kids laughed, and I thought that's great. I liked that a lot. Yeah. And then, scribbling things throughout high school and college. But I didn't have the guts back in the day to say, you know what, I'm just going to be a writer, and that's it. So, kind of like the character in here, you're kind of jumping off a cliff, when you start. And I wasn't prepared to jump off that cliff just yet.
Like your main character, he goes through college, he does very well, he's with IBM, he's nailing the interview. When can you start with us?
Yep. And he says no. And he goes the other way, and and that's, I didn't have the guts to do that. I didn't do that. So this is not autobiographical.
Okay.
It's like, it would have been cool if that had happened, but it didn't. So I knew I was going to be a writer. So finally, at the end of make a long story short, I went off and got that MFA in Vermont at the end of the 2000s. That was great. And that's where this thing kind of
found your tribe.
I did.
Yeah.
I found the tribe. Yes. Yeah. And there you go.
Did you publish it yourself, or did you go through a process where you had an editor and that type of stuff?
Yeah. Well, before I got to the publishing phase of it, I did run it through professional readers, trusted readers who would give feedback on the first drafts, and which is important. Gotta really do that. And then freelance editor, because my goal was to get it published and have it be as polished as possible before I started shopping it around. And I think that's important for any writer.
Absolutely.
To just go off and do the hard work and spend a little money to polish that thing up and get it as good as it can be. And so after that, it took a few years. Found an independent publisher in Boulder, Colorado, of all places, and then got it out. And then the editor there, their editors are marvelous people, and they find things. And she said, I think we need to lose that character.
Oh.
And this episode, and I said, but I really like Dick the bear, the talking bear. She said, I don't think so. And all right, okay, whatever you say. And so,
because they do know, and they take
know.
an objective look at it.
That's right.
It gets better. Yeah.
And I was perfectly willing to make whatever changes she wanted, she recommended, and and you gotta be that way.
You do. You gotta take criticism. It's important.
That's right.
So let's talk about some of your other interests.
Yeah. Well, I spent 5 years as the fiction editor for Hunger Mountain, which is a literary journal out of Vermont. And so you learned a lot. I mean, that's when I was on the other side of the fence, and the avalanche of submissions, short stories, wow. And a pile, a mile high, the slush pile.
Nice.
And so then you get a really good sense of, everybody works so hard, and I don't want to reject things, but you have to, reject the vast majority of the stuff, and you have to, I would try and be as nice as possible. And so,
I've never thought about that. That is true. I know stuff that I've sent out and haven't got. Nobody wants. It depends also on what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But also you can learn very hard in those stories that that get rejected.
Yeah.
They've still worked very, very hard on it. It's just writing
Absolutely.
is difficult.
And I know that when you get a rejection, if it's a nice rejection, that's a great thing.
Yes.
A writer will
If they
think,
help you a little.
this is great. It's a rejection, but it's, maybe a line or two about, we thought that this was good, but, and you might think about it. And so it's a good thing to try and be nice.
Absolutely. And definitely at least think about what if you get a personalized response, definitely think about what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because this is somebody who
Took the time. Read the piece.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I might say, there was too much runway here, there was too much intro, let's go right, you might start here, and, things like that. And which leads to any writer, if you're writing for publication, whatever it is, short story or a novel, it's really important to work with trusted readers, not your mom, and get the feedback. And it's your story. You can decide what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. But also work with an editor and get that thing as good as it can be.
So if you're going to be self-published, if you're going to take your
Same
book
thing.
out, you're definitely going to want an editor because they're going to be able to shape it so it's sellable, marketable.
Yep.
But even if you're planning on submitting it to a typical publisher, you still want that editor.
I think so, because you have to get through the slush pile at the agent's office.
Yeah, you got to be before the agent. You got to do
Right,
that stuff.
and who's going to have some intern read the first page of your novel and think, So somehow you've got to have every advantage possible, and if you can just polish that thing up and get it great, then you got a better shot.
Might be something really great about your story, but if they don't get to that part, they've already
Right.
moved on to the.
Right. It's a a friend of mine said, this is a terrible business. And she's published with Penguin and all that. She said, oh, it can be so awful. So, great. But it's a tough world out there.
So now you're president of WWA. Tell us about
Yes,
that.
ma'am. I've been involved with the association for 7-8 years, and the last couple of years been on the board and now president. And we're trying to change everything.
So what does it do? What is the function of
The association, which is 70 years old, founded in 1949.
Wisconsin Writers Association?
Yes, Wisconsin Writers, founded by a professor at UWM Madison. And the mission has always been, supporting writers in Wisconsin wherever they are, rural, city, whatever. And what we're doing now is revitalizing, I think, the association. And instead of putting on one big event per year in one place, we're doing it. Instead of that, we're going to do little events all over the place. And like Saturday morning at a library, or a couple of workshops here and there, and we have some bigger events, but mostly we're trying to go where the writers are.
Nice.
And we're coming to your town.
What made you decide to do that different philosophy?
Yeah, because we were seeing that, like the folks up in the far Northwest, they're saying, what about us? Where have you been? You're in Madison? That's 5 hours away.
Yeah.
Forget it. So we made a conscious effort. Okay, we're going to go up there.
Cool. Yeah.
We're going to work with the writers groups around the state, and there are a lot of them, and work with them to put on these local events.
And you've told us about this previously, and at the time I was thinking it's really cool because it's not, this is what we're thinking, we're going to put this on. This is somebody else deciding that they want to have a program how they want it, and you're like, great, how can we support you do that?
Exactly. We will we'll work with like the St. Croix Writers Group up in the far Northwest. We partner with them, or the Lake Superior Writers Group, same thing. Partner with them, we'll throw money at it, we'll help bring in speakers, pay for this or that, and everybody's happy. It's a good thing. Instead of the old model has been, it's all WWA, we're putting it on, and so no, we're going to partner with folks.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so somebody going to the website, that's also revamping the Wisconsin Writers Association website.
Yes. Yes.
So that check it out.
Check it out. WIWrights.org. But it's a new website, and we're coming into the 21st century because now people can join on the website. Boom! Make it happen instead of
Writing out their check.
handing it in. So it's
You were
it's a
dragging
great
and
advance.
kicking and screaming.
We are dragging ourselves into the modern times.
Nice.
And also, if you want to know about different events going on in Wisconsin, and just kind of a storehouse of important things that the Wisconsin writers should know.
And the social media thing, like Facebook. I think the association has a good Facebook presence these days, and it's again, we're mostly about supporting writers' craft, helping writers develop their craft, because I know that I love to go to conferences and sit in on something and you learn something,
Always learn something.
some nugget that you just didn't know about, or because some writer who has a different angle on something, and that's great, and that makes it all worthwhile, the whole day, because of maybe that one session.
Right. Yeah.
It's cool. And so the same thing with Facebook. Put a little stuff up there.
listeners of our show have heard us talk about Lakefly Writers Conference many times, and it's coming up May
8th and 9th.
Of 2020, and we can say, personally, we can see the improvement that your involvement in WWA has in Lakefly. We're proud of it. It went well, but you really brought so much new information and people. And
Cool, good, that's great.
Even speakers, you brought in some new speakers that you suggested that have been great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great to be working with Lakefly. I first I spoke at one of the early conferences in 2012, I don't know, and that was great. That was fun, and a few times after that, and so over time, any of us writers, we get a network. We start to know about folks. And that's happened to me, and with the association that has really amplified my network. And another thing I'm doing is I'm the program chair for the WUWM at Waukesha Southeast Wisconsin Festival of Books, which is an annual thing every November. We just had it last week, a couple of days. And I'm the program chair, and so that means, okay, I got to put together 60, 70 authors to show up and do some stuff. And it's really fun. The Festival of Books is more of a book lovers thing. It's not a how to write good sort of workshop-y thing. So 60, 70 authors come in, they're local, regional, national, and talk about their books and writing and the magic of fiction, and all that stuff. We just had our keynote speaker, one of them was Andre Debus III, who wrote a National Book Award finalist called House of Sand and Fog about 20 years ago, and a big thing, movie, Academy Award nominee, and all that. And he's just a marvelous writer.
Battery is dead. It's asking me to change the battery.
Okay,
We did get 18 minutes in.
Yes.
So I don't know if that would.
We'll just do our goodbyes and.
No, it's still flashing, but I'm getting this periodic message that needs to be changed.
It's the biggest headache. We'd be better off just. Awesome.
You're doing great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's real low key.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have hopes of
Uninterrupted too. That's great.
Awesome.
We're not quite there yet.
Okay. So I'm gonna have Tom sit down. I'm gonna change the switches again.
Oh, I'm just.
I was going to bring up
Oh,
the
you-
voiceover, so I have a lot of people who. Have you got enough time to do?
Yeah, he's plugged it in, so now we can go on for another hour if you want.
No.
Oh, good. Okay.
I just want to make sure that it's set up in, that it looks exactly like it did before. Okay, so.
And on your website, it also says you do voiceovers. Is that, I have a lot of friends in the romance who are trying to get their books on audio. Are you a big part of that?
No, I'm not a big part of books on tape or the audiobook stuff. Although I should be.
You should be.
Because my early workshops here at Lakefly were on how to read your stuff out loud, and so many authors don't do a good job, don't pay any attention. Like when you go into a bookstore and you're going to read something, you got to sell it. You got to make it come alive, and there's.
I attended that session, and it helped me immensely because I, do the readings. You get up there, and my thought was, I just go as quick as possible so that they don't lose interest.
Right. Get through it, Yeah, but the thing is, writers tend to do exactly that, and the thing is, just slow down, and then when you're reading, you hear a voice in your head, and when you're writing it, you know what the voice is, and so too many authors, without thinking, will just read their stuff, say da 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 da, instead of feeling that thing and just putting it across and being with the characters and raising the volume, speeding up, slowing down, all that kind of stuff. So it's important.
Yes, and one of the advice I've heard that's good is you can change it. You don't need to read it right out of your book. If it makes more sense when you're doing it through voice, go ahead and change it. So
Exactly.
So
and I've done that a lot. You come and you say, "Oh, I'm going to change the word or something," and it's okay.
All right. Well,
We'd like to thank our guest today, Barry Wightman, man of many talents.
If you want more information about him, go to barrywhightman.com and you can see more about his book, see reviews. It's an award-winning book, and check out his services he provides.
Thanks a lot. It's fun to be here.
Well, maybe not twice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's good. It's great.
No, it doesn't want to turn off, but I at least paused it.
Don't get erased.